So we all know that Tesla has said that to understand the universe, you have to think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. And I really had a hard time connecting the dots with how a lot of that affected us and how we showed up in the world, right? But I was watching a video the other day with those, where someone put a garden hose and then they put a speaker hooked up to it, and it changed the pattern, what was coming out of the garden hose based on the vibration. They synced, right? And it was very interesting because if they had the garden hose, let's say at, the speaker was at 24 hertz, and they videotaped it, and the film was being videotaped at, let's say, 24 frames what did I write, per second. What would happen is the water looked like it was floating, like it was suspended in midair, like it was just standing still because they were so aligned, right? But then they changed the frequency, let's say to 23, still the 24 frames per second, but the 23 made the water look like it was spiraling backwards, right? Which is very interesting. So the frequency gave it the backwards look, right? And then they turned it up to 25, and it was moving forward, but it was moving very slow. So the 24 locked it in to static, to still, right? And the 24 or the 25 was moving forward but slow, and the 23 was going totally backwards, which tells us that we, as we've got our own video recording studio. Obviously our technology is beautiful and way more advanced than cameras and lenses, and so the whole frame rate thing. These are clunky ways to explain how we are observing reflections, because we're mostly water, right? So we're that water, it's coming out of the hose. And if your frequency, which is we know that your thoughts and your emotions combined, and you create an algorithm. And if your algorithms are off your frame rate, right, you are going to be observing things backwards, right? If it's off you're too fast for your frame rate, you're going to be observing things slowly moving forward, we'll say. Again, these are just ideas of how the spins go, right? But you're not actually aligned enough to just observe it, right? It's got movement for you, but it's not necessarily aligned, right? And so I keep doing the aligned because that's where the harmonized are. That's where I think where we go in and we sync, and we go into our hearts, and because our hearts have the divine frequency, right? So, and when you can stay there enough, I believe you're upgrading your frame rate into the divine state, we'll say. So now what you observe, you can trust it a lot better, so that you're no longer worried about how you're, because everything is mirrors, right? And it's all reflections. So if every person has got their own, we'll say, sphere of influence, but it's almost like they're their own drop of water spinning in their own direction, and we're all reflecting. There's a whole bunch of us there, and and then we're contributing to the bigger water, which is a bigger, sphere of influence, and then maybe even there's another bigger one. We don't know how many scales we go out. Obviously, we go right down to the minor, to the the atom, right, and go out and out from there into our cells. And so there's a lot of different scales. I'm just talking more in general how we view the world and how the outer world shows up to us. So I was more referring to the outer mirroring. But it's more, this mirroring is like a house of mirrors, right? And it's wonky because we're not all aligned with our frame rate and our vibration, right? And so, especially when we outsource our vibration, the frequency, we'll say, to other people that, let's say they're the DJ, or someone else is the anchorman on the news who's going to trigger your emotions, which make you feel more vulnerable, and then you're dropping your vibration, and so you're off. You're going to be going into the viewing the world from the distortion, right? And so, and I've talked about this before in terms of taking your sovereignty back, and not outsourcing to the social media or the media, the news. The news is probably the one right now that has the biggest. I'm going to say they're using a lot of emotional manipulation with the language, and it's a lot of fear-based stuff, right? But that doesn't mean that the social media with AI stuff isn't also doing the same in their own way. The other one is just more of a concerted effort, right? Because you can see the bigger power of other structures that haven't totally collapsed yet, but they will, because people are seeing through them. There's enough people that have found their balanced alignment where we're actually seeing things as it is, right? It's no longer going this way or this way, it just is, and we're accepting it as a creation, as a valid creation. And then we know we get to choose again, right? So now you are choosing. It's your divine ion, but it's your divine frame rate and your divine frequency combined with your soul song, and that's what you're going to move forward, right? And that's, yeah, it's your divine state, and so no one can make you feel anything there that like no one has the permission to make you feel small or to guilt you or shame you, or it just is, right? So and that's, we're all learning those sorts of things right now. It's but I just thought I'd share that because I find that trying to take these concepts and try to kind of package them in a way where I can connect enough dots where I can kind of go, okay, that's how my video card works with the world, and that's why my divine ion, whether it's a positive spin or a negative spin, does matter, because they're both spins, they're both distortions. One is either going the 23, it's too slow, 125, it's too fast, right? The best one is the one that's aligned, right? So when you can come into that divine alignment, right, and that balanced state, right, you just see it for what it is, right? So, and then and it's nice. It's because when you're there, and you have to do it through your heart, right? You can't really think your way into. I mean, you can see both sides of the story and negotiate it back to 0 point, but I think that that's your lens, that's your frame rate. But I think the frequency piece, gets aligned through the heart, where you're at your heart consciousness, where you're at in your compassion and love and forgiveness, whatever high frequency space you can hold for your world, for the created world, for your brother and sister. From that space, I think you can come into your divine alignment, and that's where you can trust what you're experiencing, right? And yeah, so that changes the playground, doesn't it? Right? And so, yeah. Anyways, I get excited about that sort of thing, and I love to share. So hopefully this made some sense for some of you. And yeah, because we don't have to get too heady about it. It really just doesn't. You know, I would say the cliff notes, the little spoon feeding little bits here and there without getting too heady, because I don't believe we're supposed to be that heady right now. I think because we are getting into our hearts, it's that time of aligning your feeling, this high frequency, and allowing your divine alignment, which is your masculine and feminine. It's like your optics, it's kind of, it's like, when you can go to a optometrist and they're doing the separate lens and and all of a sudden, imagine if they lock in and they're both balanced. It's something like that. And I think one day we're all just going to go, oh my gosh, why didn't we see that way sooner, right? But it's okay. This is part of the fun, right? We left ourselves a lot of crumbs and dropped ourselves into all these different vibrational coordinates all over the planet for us to find our way back to this cool new understanding and creating in our dreaming in our new world, which will happen more when we can find all the reasons why to come into our 0 point, that divine state, that that balance. But you do it through the heart first, right? And yeah, so sending you lots of love, and yeah, thank you.